Welcome to the David Pakman Show. I am Farron Cousins, sitting in for David Pakman today. And you know what? We've got a lot to talk about, so let's just hop right into it. First and foremost, let's talk about the midterms, because we do have a very important day coming up very soon, and that is Labor Day. And typically in election years, once you hit that Labor Day mark, everybody switches into general election mode. So if you're already tired of midterm news, then I am very sorry, because there's going to be a lot coming out once we hit Labor Day in just a couple weeks here. But right now, and this honestly is super astonishing, I love to see it though, Democrats are looking pretty good, right? Generic ballot polling actually has them up against Republicans in House races. The Senate now looks like it's firmly going to be in Democratic control, to the point where we may not even have to worry about people like Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema for the next 2 years. Things are looking pretty darn good. You've got the post-Roe bump. You've got the Inflation Reduction Act. Gas prices are coming down. Inflation coming down a little, still really bad. Unemployment numbers look good on paper. But there is one thing Republicans have going for them right now. And that, of course, is Donald Trump's post-FBI raid poll bounce. Now, I use the term raid not because I'm, agreeing it was a raid, but because that's a lot easier than saying the FBI's execution of the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. So please understand, when I use the word raid, what I mean is the lawful execution of the search warrant down at Mar-a-Lago. But his poll numbers have gotten a bounce from that. And of course, Ron DeSantis' poll numbers have actually gone down since the FBI went down to Mar-a-Lago. And if that Republican anger holds, Republicans may do better in this year's midterm elections. Or at least that's the prevailing theory, right? We have seen Republicans postulate this. Cassidy Hutchinson, of course, who was one of the star witnesses of the January 6th committee over the summer, came out the day after and said, well, you just handed the midterms to the Republicans. I don't agree. Because, see, there's a big difference. What's happening with the Democrats right now is that you have anger over Roe versus Wade getting overturned. You have anger at January 6th. You have the lingering threat of authoritarianism coming from all of these Republican-controlled states, taking away rights of certain groups of individuals state by state. All of that has angered Democratic voters, but more importantly, it has energized them. Compare that to what's on the other side. Oh, we're so mad at the FBI right now. Cool. You going to be mad in a week? You going to be mad in 2 weeks? And by the way, the funniest part about that is a lot of that anger already had subsided. I'm not saying all of it did, because you still have, the people out there threatening the lives of FBI agents, threatening the lives of Merrick Garland and other members of the DOJ, the magistrate Judge Reinhardt. But the anger had already started to subside by the time we learned that Donald Trump likely had classified nuclear documents down there at Mar-a-Lago. Majority of independents support the raid. Majority of Democrats obviously do. Republicans, only about half, right at I think 50%, are opposed to the raid. So even if the Republicans, by virtue of Trump, got a bounce in the polls, which Trump did, I don't know that that anger carries, right? You've got the front page or cover story, really, of Newsweek right now talking about this post-raid bounce. Is this enough to push Republicans over the edge? No. No, it isn't. Not even close. Because the more that comes out about it, the worse it looks for Donald Trump. Now, I will give Trump credit, which is not something I ever do, but I will give him credit last week for kind of backing the DOJ into a corner by calling for the release of the affidavit. Let us see all the evidence you have, including the name of the leaker, so that we can clear all this up with the public. Well, whoever was advising him to do that clearly understood that the DOJ can't do that. Not only would they put lives unnecessarily at risk, because we've all seen the threats coming from Trump supporters, but it also could impede the actual investigation itself. If we release this, you'd get the names of individuals cooperating. You might get the names of other targets. You might get more information that could lead to the destruction of evidence, and we cannot do that. In fact, the DOJ actually came out within the last couple days and admitted part of the reason we don't want to release this is actually to protect you, Donald Trump. But the reason I say that kind of backed the DOJ into a corner is because Trump called for the release. He knew they couldn't do it. So once they say, no, we can't, he goes, aha, I gotcha. I knew all this was phony. Otherwise, you'd release it. And his supporters, including, plenty of people in right-wing media, also jumped on that messaging saying, obviously, it's fake. And the reason they're jumping on that messaging is because they want to get that bounce back. They want to make sure that those positive poll developments that they have seen since the search of Mar-a-Lago, they want to make sure that they hold on to the midterms. So they want to keep talking about it because they think it's going to help Republicans in November. But in reality, what it's going to do is it's further going to energize Democrats and it's going to turn independents away from the Republican Party. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? They want to talk about it because they think it helps with the Republican base. But at the same time, the more they talk about it, the more it's going to turn off independents. Neither party in this country can win elections, maybe win some primaries, obviously, but you can't win a general election if you do not attract those middle-of-the-road, moderate, independent voters. You simply cannot. The numbers are not there. So the more Republicans talk about it, the worse their poll numbers ultimately are going to get. They may have gotten that little bitty bounce right now, but it's not a type of anger that is sustainable. Certainly not in a year when Trump isn't even on the ballot. If this was 2024 and this happened and Trump was running, that would help all Republicans. But he's not on the ballot this year. So I don't know what the Republican strategy here is, but I do know with pretty much certainty that it definitely is not working for them.
One of our sponsors is Z-Biotics, a probiotic drink that breaks down the byproduct of alcohol, which is most responsible for some of those rough mornings. If you drink a small bottle of Z-Biotics before your first drink of alcohol, and then drink responsibly, guys, please. Get a good night's sleep. You can enjoy the next day feeling refreshed and ready to make the most of it. Sam Cedar swears by it. Here's how it works. When you drink, a toxic byproduct of alcohol builds up in your unprepared gut. This byproduct causes you to feel terrible the day after drinking. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme like the one your liver uses to break down the byproduct, and Z-Biotics is FDA compliant for safety. This is a product for responsible adults who have just a few drinks, but they have plans tomorrow. They want to feel their best. We all want to feel our best. If Z-Biotics doesn't work for you, you get your money back, guys. It's that simple. Go to zbiotics.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for 15% off your first order. The link is down below.